They told you strength was noise, that you had to shout louder, push harder, show off more just to survive. But what if they were wrong? What if real strength never needed to announce itself at all? What if it could be silent, invisible, and yet undeniable? Right now, you stand on the edge of a decision that could change everything. Stay reactive, stay fragile, or step into a power so deep, so still, that even chaos would break itself against you. I'm not here to offer you fantasy. I'm here to offer you a fight. Not a fight against others, but a battle within yourself. A war for your own mind. You don't need to pretend to be strong anymore. You don't need to armor yourself with anger or drown yourself in distractions. What you need is a mind so steady, so anchored, that insults glance off you like raindrops off stone. Rejections, failures, betrayals, they come, they try, they scream, and they break themselves. Not you. Imagine walking into a room and feeling the air shift, not because you said a word, not because you demanded attention, but because your presence speaks a language deeper than words. That is the mind we're going to build. That is the foundation of an unbreakable life. Strength is not the loudest voice in the room. It's the quiet resolve to stand your ground when the ground itself trembles. It's the silence inside you when the world loses its mind. For thousands of years, those who carried empires on their backs, those who faced betrayals, prisons, wars, and losses that would have crushed ordinary souls, they turned to something that was never meant to stay locked in dusty books. They turned to Stoicism, and today, so will you. Stoicism is not about shutting down your heart. It's about opening it without letting it control you. It's about facing storms without drowning in them. It's about feeling every cut, every bruise, every scar, and still refusing to let them define you. It's about discipline without cruelty, kindness without weakness, resilience without arrogance, in a world addicted to outrage and victimhood. Stoic strength is rebellion. It's dangerous, it's rare, and when you master it, you become something that terrifies the weak-hearted. Because you can't be manipulated anymore. You can't be baited into fights you don't choose. You can't be broken by hands that never built anything. If you're tired of the anxiety that grips you every time something goes wrong, tired of the anger that controls you, tired of the disappointment that chains you to your failures, then listen carefully. This path will demand everything from you. It will hurt. It will stretch you to your limits. But what it gives you in return is something the world can't sell you, can't fake, can't steal from you. Real freedom, not freedom from hardship, but freedom through hardship. And once you taste it, you will never bow to chaos again. You start to see things differently, and suddenly the crowd you once blended into feels foreign. You wonder if you're the one who's changed or if you were simply blind before. Growth peels away illusions you didn't even know you were carrying. The jokes you laughed at feel hollow now. The conversations you once drowned yourself in feel like noise you can no longer bear. You used to need the noise to forget the emptiness. Now, you sit with the emptiness and realize it was trying to teach you something all along. Loneliness isn't a punishment, it's proof you're waking up. You begin to see the patterns, the small talk disguising fear, the rituals of distraction, the desperate search for approval that underpins so much of modern life. And when you step back, when you stop playing along, it feels like betrayal to them, to the version of yourself you used to be. There's a moment where you will want to turn back, where the silence of the empty room will scream louder than any crowd, where you'll crave the comfort of being understood, even if it means lying to yourself again. But if you hold your ground, if you let that silence carve into you, it will shape you into something few ever become. Self-possessed, self-trusting, self-directed. You won't need applause to validate your path. You won't need permission to believe what you know to be true. Every step you take without needing an audience will make you stronger. Every decision you make without consulting the fears of others will make you freer. There's a price for authenticity, and it's paid in solitude. People don't want you to outgrow them. They don't want you to mirror back the choices they're too afraid to make. When you say no to gossip, when you refuse to numb yourself with distractions, when you choose solitude over mindless company, you don't have to preach a single word. Your life becomes the sermon they don't want to hear. Growth, real growth, costs you the old world you belong to. It costs you the comfort of fitting in. But what you gain is clarity. What you gain is peace. What you gain is a mind that can no longer be bought, swayed, or broken by forces outside of it. When Marcus Aurelius spoke of being indifferent to what makes no difference, he wasn't talking about apathy. He was talking about power. The power to choose where your mind rests. The power to decide what deserves your energy and what doesn't. It's a lonely road because few are willing to pay that price. But if you can walk it, if you can hold steady when everything inside you begs for comfort, you'll find yourself on the other side of loneliness. And what's waiting for you there isn't just peace. It's greatness. The kind of greatness that doesn't shout or demand recognition but simply exists, unshakable, undeniable, and free. When you begin to move differently, the world will notice, and not always with applause. You'll sense it first in the small glances, the subtle shifts in conversation, the sudden feeling that you no longer quite belong to the places you once called home. Growth is a quiet rebellion, and it makes people uneasy because it holds up a mirror they are desperate to avoid. It's easier for them when you stay the same, when you play the role they've written for you in their story. But the moment you rewrite the script, even silently, you disrupt the fragile illusions they've built around themselves. And not everyone will thank you for it. The criticism will come disguised as concern. Friends who once cheered you on will now question your every move. Family members who once praised your potential will now urge you to slow down, to not take things so seriously. Strangers will mock what they don't understand. They'll tell you you're too intense, too ambitious, too distant, too different, but what they really mean is, your light is too bright for the comfort of their shadows. I've lived this. I've seen how even simple acts of change, choosing discipline over indulgence, choosing focus over distraction, can make you a target for resentment you never earned. It's not personal, it's inevitable. You are not obligated to shrink yourself to fit the places you've outgrown. You are not responsible for managing the insecurities of those who refuse to evolve. Their discomfort is not your failure, it's their opportunity to wake up. And whether they take it or not is none of your business. Real change demands a level of selfishness, a sacred selfishness that understands you cannot save others by betraying yourself. You cannot carry people who refuse to walk. You cannot drag those who are clinging to the very chains you're trying to break free from. When the resistance grows louder, when the doubts creep in, when the loneliness bites deeper, that's not a sign you're off track. That's the universe asking how badly you want it. That's life stripping away every false comfort so you can see clearly who you were and what you're capable of becoming. History was never made by those who sought approval. It was shaped by those who dared to make others uncomfortable simply by refusing to betray the truth burning inside them. Socrates didn't apologize. Galileo didn't back down. Rosa Parks didn't move to the back of the bus to keep the peace. Neither should you. Stand firm, speak less, move with intention, let your life, not your words, be the loudest thing about you. Change is not a threat to your life. It's the doorway to your real life. If you can endure the rejection, if you can resist the urge to shrink, you'll discover a freedom so raw, so real, that the opinions of the stagnant will seem like the whispers of ghosts you left behind. There's a particular kind of death that happens long before the body stops breathing. The death of self every time we trade authenticity for approval. I know that death. I've tasted it in the hesitation before speaking the truth. I've felt it in the impulse to edit myself just to be palatable to the crowd. It's a slow erosion, a quiet betrayal. And every time you do it, something sacred inside you fades a little more. Freedom doesn't come wrapped in applause. It comes when you no longer care if anyone claps at all. It comes when you realize that the cheers you used to crave are as hollow as the criticisms you once feared. Approval is a leash. Approval is a drug. And the moment you decide to walk away from it, the withdrawal will hurt. You'll post the truth and hear silence. You'll speak your mind and watch the room grow cold. You'll pursue dreams so different, so daring, that even people who love you will look at you with fear in their eyes. You'll be told you're reckless. You'll be called arrogant. You'll be warned that you're throwing away something safe for something uncertain. And maybe you are, but safety is not freedom. Safety is not life. Safety is the silent killer of souls who had something greater inside them but never dared to unleash it. When you let go of needing approval, you don't become reckless, you become real. You stop performing. You stop rehearsing your words for maximum acceptance. You stop hiding the parts of you that don't fit the narrative others want you to live out. And that's when you find it. That raw, unfiltered aliveness that doesn't need to justify itself to anyone. The more you seek truth over popularity, the more you feel your spine straighten. The more you endure the loneliness of walking your own path, the more you feel the quiet pulse of something unbreakable growing inside you. There's a reason the Stoics warned that if you wish to improve, you must be willing to look foolish. Growth doesn't always look noble. Sometimes it looks awkward. Sometimes it looks reckless. Sometimes it looks stupid to those still imprisoned by their fear of looking stupid. But you are not here to be understood by everyone. You are not here to live a life scripted by invisible judges. You are here to become what you are meant to be, even if that means walking alone. Even if that means standing in rooms where your silence speaks louder than 1,000 screaming opinions. The moment you stop asking, will they approve, and start asking, is this true to me? That's when you begin. That's when you take the first real breath of freedom. And if that terrifies the ones still shackled to their need for applause, let it. You are never meant to live small enough to fit into their expectations. You are meant to live wide enough to break them. There's a moment in every journey where you stand face to face with a brutal truth. No one is coming to save you. No hero, no handout, no perfect opportunity waiting to fall into your lap. And it's in that moment, when all the illusions collapse, that you are offered something infinitely more valuable than rescue: responsibility. Radical ownership is not a punishment. It's the key to the prison you didn't even know you were living in. It's easy to blame. It's easy to point outward and explain away why things are broken. Your parents didn't love you enough. Society stacked the odds against you. The system is rigged, and maybe all of that is true. Maybe you were handed a raw deal. But here's the truth that changed my life. Staying broken because of it is still a choice. Every excuse you cling to, no matter how justified it seems, is a chain you wrap around your own ankles. Radical ownership snaps those chains, but it demands that you stop expecting the world to be fair, kind, or easy. It demands that you accept the mess, the scars, the chaos, and still choose to build something from it. It demands that you stop measuring your potential by the wounds you've suffered and start measuring it by the fire you're willing to ignite inside yourself. When you own everything, your mistakes, your bad habits, your fears, you reclaim the power to change everything. This kind of ownership doesn't always feel good. Sometimes it feels like carrying the weight of 1,000 wrong turns on your back. But buried inside that weight is a treasure no one can steal. The realization that you are the author now. You are not a character in a story being written by circumstances. You are the one holding the pen, and every day, with every action or inaction, you are writing the next chapter. Ownership doesn't promise that life will be easy. It promises that life will be yours. Jean-Paul Sartre's words echo in my mind often. Man is condemned to be free. At first, it sounds like a curse. Freedom is terrifying. It strips away every excuse and lays bare the terrifying possibility that we might waste it. But it's also the greatest gift you'll ever hold. No excuses, no one to blame, just you, standing in the arena, bloodied, bruised, and still choosing to fight for a life that means something. The world will offer you endless ways to outsource your power, endless scapegoats to blame, endless distractions to numb the sting of responsibility. But if you dare to refuse them, if you dare to look your life square in the face and say, "I own this," then you will discover something that cannot be bought, borrowed, or stolen. The indestructible power of a free mind. Are you willing to carry that burden? Are you willing to pay the price? Because once you own it all, no one, not fate, not failure, not even fear, can ever own you again. Pain is not a curse, it's a catalyst, but only if you dare to face it instead of fleeing. Most people run their entire lives, chasing distractions, hiding behind routines, numbing themselves with comfort. They spend years building walls to keep the pain out, not realizing that they're also trapping themselves inside. I know that kind of running. I know the exhaustion it brings. But there's a brutal freedom that comes when you finally stop running. When you turn around and meet the thing you've been trying so hard to escape. That's when you find it. The doorway to strength you didn't even know existed. Real strength isn't born from easy days. It isn't born in applause or comfort. It's born in those long, brutal nights when the doubt claws at your mind and the loneliness gnaws at your spirit. It's born in those moments when you have every reason to quit, every excuse to give up, and you still choose to stand. Every crack in you that you tried so hard to patch up and pretend didn't exist. Those cracks were meant to be your teachers. They were meant to let the light in. But the more you deny them, the more you stay stuck in a cycle of shallow survival instead of deep transformation. Ask yourself, what pain have you been running from? What truth have you refused to confront because it hurt too much to see it clearly? Somewhere inside that fear, somewhere buried inside that old wound, is the version of you that doesn't need to hide anymore. Viktor Frankl endured the unimaginable, and yet he taught the world a truth most people are too afraid to hear. Suffering without meaning destroys. But suffering embraced with meaning transforms. Your pain is not a sign that you are broken. It's a call to rise. It's a summons to turn what tried to bury you into the very foundation you build your life on. You are not weak because you hurt. You are not lesser because you cry. The ones who survive, the ones who thrive, are not the ones who avoid hurt. They are the ones who open their eyes in the middle of the storm. Who stare the chaos in the face and say, "You will not have me." Every scar you carry is not a shame. It's a map. It's proof that you bled and still kept walking. That you loved and lost and still chose to risk your heart again. That you failed and stumbled and shattered. And still, you chose to rise. Stop wasting your pain by hiding from it. Use it. Turn your wounds into wisdom that can't be faked, bought, or borrowed. Turn your scars into a guide for the battles still ahead. Turn your heartbreak into a weapon the world cannot dull. Because real power isn't built by avoiding what hurts. It's built by surviving it, and becoming unbreakable because of it. Preparation is not fear. Preparation is respect for life, for chaos, for the unpredictable storms that every one of us will eventually face. The naive cling to optimism like a shield, hoping the bad things will pass them by if they just smile wide enough. But hope is not a strategy. Hope alone will not hold you upright when the ground splits open beneath you. Strong minds don't build their lives on hope alone. They build on readiness. They don't pretend storms won't come. They watch the skies. They reinforce the walls. They strengthen the foundation until even the fiercest winds can find no way inside. I used to think preparing for the worst was inviting it in. Like speaking it aloud would make it real. I was wrong. Preparing for the worst doesn't summon destruction. It disarms it. It strips fear of its teeth. When you've already walked the battlefield in your mind, when you've already played out the betrayals, the failures, the losses, you don't panic when they arrive. You don't freeze when the phone call comes, or the knife finds your back, or the dream you built crumbles into dust. You nod, you breathe, you move, not because it doesn't hurt, but because the hurt doesn't own you anymore. You don't waste precious energy screaming at the unfairness of it all. You already accepted that fairness was never guaranteed. You don't collapse under the weight of shock. You already carried that weight in training. You don't ask, why me? You ask, what now? Most people crumble not because life is too cruel, but because they thought cruelty would never touch them. They built castles of denial, thin walls of hope, fragile dreams tied to the belief that preparation was pessimism. And when the inevitable struck, they had nothing inside but panic. Do not be that person. Prepare like a warrior who knows the battle is coming, even if he cannot say when. Fortify your soul the way ancient cities fortified their gates, not because they were weak, but because they were wise. Imagine the betrayals. Imagine the losses. Imagine the days when the people you trust most turned their backs. Not to wallow in fear, but to strengthen your grip on reality. To know that even if the worst happens, you will not break. You will adjust. You will rebuild. You will endure. Expecting the worst is not negativity. It is mastery. It is refusing to be caught off guard by a world that owes you nothing. It is choosing to walk into life's chaos with open eyes and steady hands. And when the storm finally comes, as it always does, you won't crumble, you won't break, you'll stand like a mountain, unmoved by the howling winds, unbroken by the thunder crashing around you, silent, steady, unstoppable, because you didn't gamble your peace on a promise of sunshine. You built your peace to survive the storm. The world trains you to react. It rewards speed over thought, noise over substance, fury over wisdom. But the true masters of life, the ones who endure, who rise, who shape the currents rather than get swept away, learn early that reaction is a trap. Every time you react without thinking, you give a piece of yourself away, a piece of your peace, a piece of your power. I know how easy it is to get baited. One comment, one glance, one betrayal, your blood surges, your vision narrows, and before you even know it, you are fighting battles that don't deserve your energy, speaking words you can't take back, bleeding strength you should have guarded. But there is another way. There is a deeper, quieter power hidden in non-reaction. It is the discipline of standing still when the world tries to shove you off balance. It is the art of holding your fire when every impulse begs you to strike. Critical thinking is not glamorous. It is not loud. It happens in the quiet spaces between stimulus and response. It demands that you question your first instinct. It demands that you sift through your emotions, your assumptions, your fears, and ask yourself, what is real here? What deserves my action? And what deserves my silence? Every fool can react. Every fool can rage. But it takes a mind forged in patience and sharpened by thought to choose not to be dragged into every petty war that comes along. I used to think strength was about fighting everything. Now I understand. Strength is about choosing what is worth fighting for, and letting the rest pass like smoke on the wind. When you refuse to react, you terrify those who thrive on chaos. They don't know what to do with someone who won't take the bait. They throw insults, and you blink. They throw threats, and you breathe. They throw lies, and you stand so still, so unshaken, that their own noise consumes them. In that silence, in that refusal to be moved by every gust of wind, you build an authority that cannot be faked. You become a force, not because you overpower others, but because you have overpowered yourself. And that kind of force, the internal mastery of emotion and thought, terrifies a world addicted to outrage and control. A mind that listens more than it speaks, questions more than it accepts, acts more than it reacts. That mind is a rare weapon. It does not need validation. It does not need revenge. It does not even need to be understood. It is enough unto itself. Silent, formidable, free. You are not here to dance for the crowd. You are here to master the space between stimulus and response. You are here to hold your ground so fiercely that the storms howl and the people rage and the noise rises, and still you do not move. Because you are not theirs to move anymore. You belong to yourself. If you felt something move inside you today, don't brush it off. Don't minimize it. That stirring you feel isn't random. It's your soul, your deepest self, knocking from the inside, begging you to listen, begging you to rise. Most people hear that knock and turn up the volume of their lives to drown it out. They chase distractions. They chase approval. They chase anything that lets them avoid the terrifying beauty of waking up. But you are not most people. You made it this far. You stayed. You listened. You faced the hard truths without flinching. That alone means you are already different. You are already on the edge of becoming something rare, something unshakable. Don't let this just be another video you scroll past. Don't let it be another spark you ignore until it dies out like all the others. Seal this moment, make it real. Hit that like button not for me, but for you, for the future self who will look back at this moment and say, that's when it started, that's when I stopped running, that's when I decided to build something that could not be broken. And don't stop there. Drop a comment, write it down, speak it into existence, share one thing you are choosing to change starting today. Not tomorrow, not when it's convenient, today, because change only happens when intention is forged into action. Subscribe if you're ready to commit to more than just feeling inspired for a few minutes. Subscribe if you're ready to build a mind so steady, so strong, that even the storms of life learn to move around you. This isn't the end. This is the first step of a much harder, much more beautiful path. Here, at Echoes of Stoicism, we don't play small. We don't settle for surviving. We build, we endure, we become. Every video, every word, every principle we share is designed to carve away the weakness and reveal the unstoppable core you were born with. You are not made for comfort. You were made for greatness. You were not made to blend into the noise. You were made to be the stillness in the center of the storm. You are not made to be easily broken, easily swayed, easily lost. You were made to be a lighthouse, a fixed point of strength and clarity in a chaotic world. But no one can give that to you. You have to choose it. You have to build it. You have to bleed for it. And you have to want it more than you want the easy way out. I'll see you on the other side, not the side of fear, not the side of weakness, but the side where the few who dared to become unshakable stand. Welcome to the beginning of everything you are meant to be. Welcome to Echoes of Stoicism. Your real journey starts now.